Welcome to Vikings Happy Hour, where we mix our favorite beverage and talk of your Minnesota Vikings.
We're back. Another week of Vikings Happy Hour right before the draft. I am beyond excited for tonight, the eve of the NFL draft. Ryan, Myles, and I are joined by Darren Wolfson himself. He's back for his second stint on this Vikings Happy Hour show, carving out some time for us. So I know time is limited, so let's get right to it. I'm going to just start asking you questions, Doogie. And I think the elephant in the room.
Good to be back, gentlemen. Good to see you guys. Hopefully you have me okay. For whatever reason, my internet is not great. You guys are very, very pixelated. But if you can see me, somewhat, heck, if you can hear me, I guess the audio is most important. If you can hear me, let's just rock and roll.
Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear. So I'm going to ask the elephant in the room here as we sit here 24 hours from the start of the draft. Quarterback. Is it going to happen for the Vikings? Are they going to trade up? I know we hear them trading up about Rashawn Slater or Sewell or whatever, but are they going to go up for a quarterback if one falls?
I would be surprised if the move up is for a quarterback, but I can tell you they've done incredible homework on a lot of these guys. It's something I've talked about on my podcast and, radio and TV going back weeks. I know Tom Pelissero, national level, my good buddy Tom, has chimed in on this very topic in the last 24 hours. Other national talking heads have chimed in on this topic. I think the Vikings, just based on the amount of homework they've done, are going to take a quarterback at some point this weekend. I just don't know if it's tomorrow night, especially in a trade-up scenario.
So Doogie, real quick.
Go, Mike.
Sorry, Matt. We saw Judd. I know you're on Score North all the time. Judd mentioned they had talked with the Falcons that went obviously nowhere, and I'm sure it was a quick call with the Atlanta Falcons for a potential trade up to 4. Obviously didn't happen. Don't anticipate it's going to happen, but can you talk about that a little bit more? Did you hear the same thing?
I have not heard the same thing, but I can tell you, Judd, going back to his beat reporting days, covering the Vikings for the Star Tribune, covering the Packers for the Star Tribune. I mean, Judd being in the media business for darn near 30 years, Judd has a lot of NFL contacts. So I have zero reason, to look at Judd and say, like, somebody fed you a bunch of baloney there. Like, I think he's on to something. The old common man line, my good buddy Dan Cole. Are you on something or are you on to something? I think in Judd's case, he's on to something, but I've not heard that same intel. I think if they move up, it's more likely that they're not jumping above 9, that maybe George Payton and Rick Spielman can come to some sort of agreement where Denver moves back 5 spots. And if it's not Denver, then maybe it's Dallas at 10, Giants at 11, getting above 13, the Chargers, for one of those offensive linemen, probably Rashawn Slater. This is presuming that Penei Sewell goes top 7, that you're not going to get in the neighborhood of grabbing him. Plus, it's entirely possible. I don't know how they have their board stacked. I have reason to believe that they are fans of both Sewell and Slater, but I don't know who they favor. Like, it's entirely possible they favor Rashawn Slater. If they do, to me, they need to move up and get that guy.
Ryan?
Yeah, I mean, Rashawn Slater is an interesting case because when I look at his tape and when I watch him, he screams guard to me. But I guess the flexibility would be nice where he, could play guard, he could play tackle. We can maybe move Cleveland out. I mean, there's a lot of options with a guy like him. Do you think that they value that versatility more so where like Sewell is a strict left tackle? So do you think they would, value that versatility a little bit more, and maybe that's why they're higher on Slater than maybe like a Christian Darrisaw?
They do value that versatility, no denying that whatsoever. I have a hard time believing, though, that when you're picking as high as 14, or if you're moving up to 11 or 10, that you're ultimately moving up for an interior offensive lineman. Like, to me, if you're moving up, you better be moving up for a left tackle, or at least a right tackle. I don't get the logic in moving up for a guard. But yeah, is it possible, just based on arm length, that the Vikings really like their tackles to have those 34-inch arms, that Slater isn't at 34 inches, but Darrisaw is? That maybe Darrisaw is their guy. I mean, they've done so much homework. I mean, it's harder for me this year than other years based on, the Vikings not being able to bring guys in for visits, the Vikings not being able to work guys out privately. None of those formal interviews at a traditional combine took place. So, there's been other years where 24 hours prior, I felt pretty confident in knowing what the Vikings were thinking. I just texted somebody that absolutely would know. I can tell you that somebody absolutely would know what the Vikings are going to do. He told me he doesn't know at this point. And so I am in a comparable boat where I think it's an offensive lineman, but could it be a defensive lineman? Sure. Could there be a trade back scenario, right? Where somebody wants to jump up for a Devontae Smith, or maybe it's somebody else, but to me, maybe it's the Heisman Trophy winner. Then the Vikings move back. We know that this isn't a strong pass rushing draft. Then maybe you get that pass rusher later in the first round. It's a deep tackle draft that one of these guys, they've done unbelievable work on Spencer Brown out of Northern Iowa. They've done unbelievable work. How about this for a name drop? The guy I just texted with 2 minutes ago, Dylan Radins of Becker High School, North Dakota State. There's others, right? That in theory, they could get sometime in the second round. If you're going from 14 to wherever backwards, then you recoup that lost second round pick from the Ngakoue trade, that you get your offensive lineman a tackle in the second round. So, I'd love to tell you guys I know exactly what they're thinking. I think these are all scenarios that they've kicked around in Eagan, and they may be sitting there tonight as their draft meetings go, relatively deep into the night, not too deep, but I can promise you they're meeting right now. They may know definitively right now at 7:15 on Wednesday night, 24 hours prior, they may exactly know what is going to happen, but I don't, unfortunately. But do I think that they've discussed moving up and moving back? Yes. And have they discussed just staying at 14, depending on how the board shakes out? Yes. So I know you guys bring me on here to have a lot of answers. I just don't have a lot of the answers, but I do know that they've done unbelievable homework on a lot of these guys. But then, there's some guys they haven't done much homework on. He's not a Thursday guy or probably even a Friday guy, but my guy Ellerson Smith, Minneapolis South High School, Northern Iowa pass rusher, right? So it's not a good pass rushing draft in terms of depth. So you can make a case. What about Ellerson Smith at some point to the Vikings? Which could happen. He met with them in Mobile, but guess what? Every prospect met with every team at the Senior Bowl. So the fact that a guy met with a team at the Senior Bowl doesn't mean anything. But the Vikings, as of a couple days ago, had not followed up on anything with Ellerson. But guess what? Ellerson, the character is A+. And I'll admit my bias. I was just with him over at Los Campeanos Gym on Franklin Avenue in Minneapolis a couple Mondays ago. So admittedly, I'm biased. But if you talk to a lot of people in Northern Iowa, others, they will tell you, he's squeaky clean. So the Vikings may feel guess what? What's the point in doing a Zoom interview with him? We have the book on him. So maybe they do end up with Ellerson Smith. But I can just tell you, they haven't interviewed him, while some other guys like Cam Sample of Tulane, they've maxed out their time with Cam Sample, to the last minute. You can spend up to an hour, 5 different times with these prospects. The Vikings have pretty much maxed out their time with Cam Sample, but that doesn't mean they're going to end up with Cam Sample. Maybe some red flag emerged in some of those conversations. So that's where it's really, really hard for me to say, okay, definitively, they're going offensive line on Thursday, and then Friday, look for them to take a pass rusher, look for them to take, you name whatever other position. At some point, they're going to draft a linebacker this weekend. I don't think it'll be Friday, probably Saturday, but there's so many different scenarios. And that's where I just can't wait until we see it actually unfold, where we can do some analysis after the fact, as opposed to trying to speculate on exactly what is going to take place.
And I think that's what's so exciting, because
what I took out of that here, Doogie, is 2 things. I took out, one, they're going to go quarterback first round because nobody would expect that, and you're not expecting it. So they're going to do it because nobody knows. And that's going to be Justin Fields or Trey Lance, and I'm going to be excited. 2, I realize that you have as much of a bias towards local Minnesota kids as I do Oklahoma players. So I love it.
Yeah, I do. And heck, one of my good buddies, Sean, who used to do some NFL representation, he's close with Orlando Brown Jr. and some other Sooners guys. He was Phil Loadholt's guy back in the day. And like Sean is still pissed off all these years that the Vikings couldn't find a way to land Orlando Brown Jr. Like he bleeds purple, going back to his guy Phil, being here the long time Viking tackle Phil Loadholt. So like I get it, but yeah, I am biased toward the Minnesota guys. Like I hope, for the first time since Lawrence Maroney way back when, that the Gophers have a first-round pick, right? They've come so close over the years with Rashid Hageman and Max Williams, and last year Antoine Winfield Jr. Like, can Rashad Bateman go tomorrow night? The Packers have done unbelievable homework on Bateman. The Packers have a late first-round pick. Like, if he gets by Baltimore, or maybe Baltimore uses the 31st pick on Bateman. Like, those two teams have done unbelievable work on Bateman. I hope Bateman goes tomorrow night. I'd love to see Dylan Radins find a way to sneak into the late first round. And if he doesn't go late first, hopefully he goes early second round. So, yeah, admittedly, bias on all these guys. Ben St-Juste, Ellerson Smith. I mean, those are the main four. But, yeah, I mean, make no mistake about it. I mean, even guys like, Jackson Erdman, who's not draft eligible, the former St. John's quarterback, was at Penn State for a little bit, played at Rosemount High School. Like Jackson, there's some NFL interest. He tried out at Gophers Pro Day. Some teams have been asking about him. Like, I hope Jackson ends up in some team's camp. It's going to be hard. But like all these guys, yeah, admittedly biased just because I ain't much stuff going back to high school on these guys. I connected with Sam Henches the other day. He gave up a couple home runs today, was on the mound for the Indians against the Twins. But like, I got to know him back at Mounds View High School in 2013, 2014. Really cool to now see him on a major league mound. Like, that journey to me is a really cool story to tell, that it was a 7-year process. Tommy John surgery, right? 2019 at AA, struggles mightily, finds a way to get an uptick in his velo. He's now at 97, 98, when prior he was 93, 94. Like, I love that stuff. And yeah, specifically football. Like, I didn't do anything on Ellerson Smith, unfortunately, at South High School. That's my fault. That's my mistake. But yeah, any Twin Cities kid, any Minnesota kid, Becker included, like, yeah, absolutely. I'm rooting heavily. On the quarterback situation, I can just tell you this. I went back and forth with one of my guys in Fargo today, somebody that's with the Bison, not a media type, somebody that's with the Bison. He's had dialogue with Clint Kubiak. I mean, Clint's done unbelievable work on Trey Lance. The Vikings just don't feel like, and I don't either, that Lance is going to be there at 14. There's no sense from my guy with the Bison that the Vikings are willing to move up for Trey Lance. Now, maybe that happens, but I'm just telling you what is being told to me by somebody there on the inside that has talked directly with Kubiak. To me, the most fascinating scenario would be if Justin Fields somehow slides to 14. And if he does, I don't know how you would pass on him. To me, you would have to take Justin Fields.
Do you sense that they have permission from ownership to pull the trigger on a move like that?
Well, that's the $1 million question, right? I mean, Rick and Mike got those extensions a year ago, but nothing is guaranteed in terms of 2022. The Wilf family has unbelievably high expectations for this year, for 2021. So can you take somebody that probably isn't going to help you this year? Although, by the way, I think Fields is a good enough athlete. Maybe he's not quite Taysom Hill, but like, I'd find a way to get him on the field. New Orleans found a way to involve Taysom Hill. And I'm not comparing Justin Fields exactly athletically to Taysom Hill, but I think Justin Fields is a heck of an athlete where you could come up with some ideas to at least have him help you a little bit in some of these 17 games this year. But I don't have that answer. I'd love to tell you I have that answer. I don't have that answer, but I can promise you this. That conversation has happened. Whether it was Mike or Rick or both, they've talked to Mark and Zygi about that scenario, that, okay, one of these quarterbacks is staring us in the face. If we take that guy and, we need the development time, maybe not quite, hey, if this year goes south, are we guaranteed jobs in 2022? Maybe the conversation wasn't quite that direct, but hey, will you give us time? Are we okay taking a quarterback knowing that Kirk Cousins is our guy this year? So it's a guy that isn't going to see the field this year. I can promise you a conversation like that has taken place with the Wilfs.
You want a way to get that rookie quarterback to have an impact on your team. It light a fire under Kirk, I'm sure. It kind of put him on notice if they were to do that.
Yeah, although, like, if that bothered Kirk, then Kirk's not the right guy, right? Like, and I think Kirk would tell you that. Like, he dealt with a lot of adversity in Washington. It's not anything that he hasn't dealt with before. So I don't think Kirk would be thrown for a massive loop. Heck, you would hope that he could channel maybe some of that, confusion or frustration, much like Aaron Rodgers did last year, right? That you could spin it as a positive.
That's kind of.
But it would be interesting. I mean, as somebody who roots for storylines, like give me the quarterback as soon as possible. I mean, instead of the third or fourth round, give me the quarterback Thursday night. Like I'm rooting for that. Taking an offensive lineman is boring in my book. Like I'll be out there on Friday. I need to go out to the Vikings facility tomorrow morning for a COVID test. So they're going to host a bunch of media. I have baseball coaching duties on Thursday night for a bit, so I can't get out there Thursday, but I'm going to get out there on Friday, and we may have an opportunity to chat with their first round pick for one-on-one for TV's sake. So I'm hoping that comes to fruition. If not, they're going to do a news conference on Friday. So for me to be out there on Friday afternoon, I need to have a COVID test. So I'm going out to the Vikings facility tomorrow morning for a COVID test. So I'm hoping on Friday that A, I can get a one-on-one interview with the first round pick, and B, that first round pick is Trey Lance or Justin Fields. Like that, that's what I hope for. Like, hey, Elijah Vera Tucker, he absolutely could help them this year, but that would be a boring interview for me on Friday. Rashawn Slater would absolutely help them, but that would be a boring interview. Darisaw could help them, but that would be a boring interview. Kwity Paye would not be a boring interview. His story is remarkable. Plus, he's got the gift of gab. He's a walking soundbite. So if it's Kwity Paye, sign me up for that. But the best scenario for me would be talking to a quarterback on Friday.
Hey, Doogie, two questions for you. So you talked about the local kids. So Dylan Radins, I had a question for you on him. So Radins, either way, you talked about him potentially being a late first. Do you think because of the opt-out, or not the opt-out, but North Dakota State only playing one football game this year, and with COVID and everything, do you think that could hurt his stock a little bit? I know he was in the Senior Bowl, but overall, do you think, a guy like him coming from the FCS, only playing one game this year, do you think that which might play in the Vikings' favor if they wanted to try to get into the mid-late second to try to get a guy like that? Do you think that could play a factor for a guy like him especially?
I would have told you January 1st, quite possibly. Then he goes down to Mobile and kicks serious ass. And because of that, I think those questions vanished. Okay. And he might be more a zone blocking scheme guy. Like it might be very, scheme specific with him that some teams won't have him very high. Like with the Vikings, like Leatherwood, the guy from Alabama. Now, who knows? Maybe the Vikings love Leatherwood, but they haven't done much work on Leatherwood because, like, I checked on him, but he's probably not a scheme fit for the Vikings. Radins, I think it's Radins. I was saying Radins for a long time, and then somebody here in the office corrected me that has some Radins family connections in Becker and told me it's Radins. So I'm going to trust my colleague here at Channel 5 that it's Radins, not Radins. But I'm guilty as charged. I called them Radins for a really long time, but they claim it's Radins. But, yeah, I think the way he dominated in Mobile, that he's off the board, and his people think he's also off the board top 50-ish. Now, does 50 turn into 57 maybe? Sure. But like if he's on the board Friday, he's not going to be on the board very long on Friday. He has a lot of fans, including with the Vikings. And I'm not making any sort of prediction that he's going to land in purple, but I can tell you he's impressed people with the Vikings.
That's great.
I know
my other question. Sorry, Matt, one more. And then I'm
well, hold on. Let me segue out.
Go ahead.
I know that your time is limited, Doogie. So everyone's gonna get you one question here, and then we'll get you out of here, so you can carry on with your evening. So Myles, take it here.
Oh yeah. So I've heard you talk about some of the positions you expect the Vikings to take on various podcasts and shows, Doogie. I haven't heard you say wide receiver, and that's something I think I asked you on Twitter a while back too. Of like, why does this team refuse to add to the third wide receiver position? Like, why is that the position where they're like, oh, we're good with the top two guys. Everything behind them is whatever. Maybe you have a better sense of that, but I understand that they're a run-first team, but it just feels like the wide receiver position outside of the top two guys that they've had for the last 5 years hasn't really mattered for this regime.
I'm with you, Myles. And if they don't end up taking a receiver, this weekend. There's still some free agents out there. Like, correct me if I'm wrong. Is D.D. Westbrook still on the free agent board?
Yeah. Yep.
Yes, he
All right, so
is.
he's got the Keenan McCardle connection. So there's guys. And then they've done homework, like Nico Collins of Michigan, I think would be a good fit here. I don't know if he's more a Friday or a Saturday guy. Maybe it's right on the border there. But, like, they've done really good homework on Nico Collins. So, like, could they end up with Nico Collins, the Michigan wide receiver? It's very possible. That's why I talked to Desmond Howard last week. I made it a point to ask Desmond specifically about Nico, just because I know the Vikings have done a lot of work on Nico. So, like, Myles, I'm not saying it's a 0% chance. They absolutely could take a receiver this weekend. I just feel a lot more confident that at some point they are going to take a linebacker, that we know they're going to take a pass rusher. When you swing and miss on Lawson, when you swing and miss on Trey Hendrickson, you're going to take a pass rusher. You just are. And Stephen Weatherly offers a little bit of insurance, but they're going to take a pass rusher at some point. And we know they're going to take at least one offensive lineman, if not multiple offensive linemen. Then you can make a case they can use a third tight end. Certainly in the secondary, when you think about the possibilities of guys not returning in 2022 with so many guys on 1-year deals or expiring contracts. So safety and cornerback are pretty big needs. But I'm just telling you, like, I feel the most confident about linebacker, defensive line, offensive line. But wide receiver would not shock me one bit. Running back would not shock me. When they lose Mike Boone, I mean, if they don't draft a running back on Saturday, they will be very aggressive post-draft and signing an undrafted free agent. So, I mean, they're going to add a pretty good running back, this week. And heck, they did at least one interview with Najee Harris of Alabama. That's how extensive their draft homework's been. Like, I don't see any scenario. There's not a lot of things I feel great about.
Bored at that point.
Yeah, but, like, Najee Harris is not ending up in purple. Like,
no.
And again, there's not a lot of things I'd bet on this week, but that's one, like, there's no way Najee Harris ends up with the Vikings. So, at some point, though, they are going to add a running back.
Awesome. Well, my last one's actually not going to be Vikings related. You had mentioned Kwity Paye, a fun interview, Gab kind of guy. How fun has it been having Anthony Edwards on the Timberwolves?
Yeah, he's great.
Question.
Yeah, I mean, every single Zoom session, it's like, what the heck's going to come out of his mouth, right? So, like, we're fed so many cliched answers, right? Like, I can predict what a lot of guys are going to say. With Anthony, like, you never know, right? And, I mean, there's some maturation that needs to take place there, right? I mean, he's still a teenager. He won't be 20 until August. Like, I think we need to remember that. Like, he could have been, if he had been held back just a little bit, he could be in this year's NBA draft after playing 1 year of college. Like, he reclassified along the way to push up his timetable, to get to college 1 year sooner. But yeah, I love the guy. We're blessed right now in this market with Kaprizov, with Edwards, with Justin Jefferson. I still think Alex Kirilloff has an incredibly bright future. The Lynx have some really good young players, including the reigning Rookie of the Year in Dangerfield. Like, we have a bunch of really good young players in this market.
I will end it here with one final question, Doogie. I've enjoyed seeing your tweets come out throughout this offseason, just kind of name dropping some day 2 or day 3 guys. Is there any other names that you could drop for us that might be targets that we maybe haven't heard yet?
Well, Sample, for sure. The Pitt defensive lineman that I tweeted about the other day, he's another. Quinn, how do you say his last name? The guard from Wisconsin Whitewater.
Miners.
Is it Miners on the pronunciation of the last name? Yeah, he's a guy they've done a lot of work on. Yeah, I mean, I just said Nico Collins, when it comes to wide receivers. Not a lot of steam on some of the upper echelon tight ends for whatever reason. And again, maybe they have the book on those guys, but just there hasn't been much. And, like, I'd love to tell you, Ben St. Juste, tall cornerback. Zim loves those tall cornerbacks. A lot of other teams have done a lot more work on St. Juste than the Vikings, but hey, he's right in this marketplace. Maybe they feel like they have the book on him that they didn't need to. Otherwise, I'm trying to think some other guys. Gosh, there's trying to remember a defensive lineman from Wake Forest. I mean, I'm still getting used to all these names. Like we'll all talk in the coming days, like we're experts and we've watched a lot of Wake Forest football and Tulane football. But I'd be lying to you if I said I have. But I know the Wake Forest defensive lineman. Last name begins with a B. Basham, thank you. Ryan, thank you. That's another guy. Trying to think who else. I mean, they have the former Alabama DBs coach, now in the building. So I can promise you, he's pining for some of his guys from Tuscaloosa. Alabama's got any number of NFL draft eligible guys. So if they have a safety, I mean, I don't think they're going to end up with Surtain because I think he'll end up probably going 9 or 10, and I don't think they're moving up for Surtain. But whether it's somebody else in that secondary or anywhere else on that defense, their new DBs coach, I can promise you, is championing the cause for one of his Bama guys. So, those would be some of the names. Hopefully those work for you.
Yeah.
Can we
absolutely.
get your final prediction for tomorrow night before we get you out of here?
I think if they can move up for Rashawn Slater, they do it. But what's the cost? And I don't know if they would go as high as 9. Maybe 11, the Giants, is a bit more realistic. So what would it cost to go from 14 to 11 if Slater's on the board? If they stay at 14, Vera Tucker's floor is high. I don't know if the ceiling is real high, though. Like, do you use the 14th pick on a guard? Vera Tucker's arms suggest, and his tapes just suggest guard, not tackle, even though he played left tackle for USC. I just have a hard time believing they're going to go with an interior offensive lineman at 14, a guy that maybe can't ever play tackle. Like maybe Slater starts off at guard, but then could shift out to tackle at some point, even though he doesn't have the 34-inch arms. So maybe it would be Darasaw. If they can trade back, I think they then go defensive line. Like I'd keep an eye on pay. I have a hard time thinking they go Phillips with that concussion history. That this year is harder than others to have the full medical book on guys, even though guys were in Indy a couple weeks ago for medical evaluations, and the Vikings sent the doctor down and they sent Sugarman down. But still tougher this year compared to other years to have the full medical book on guys. So even though Jalen Phillips screams, athletic type that the Vikings like, that Andre Patterson would love, I just pause on the concussions. But maybe they do have the full book. Maybe we'll find out tomorrow night. They end up with Phillips. Just from a freak standpoint, it's him over Pay, I think. But Pay might be the safer pick. Pay reminds some people of Everson Griffin. Like, I don't know if you could go wrong with Kwity Paye, especially if you're moving back in the first round. I'm telling you guys, I don't know who's moving up to 14. Like, if a quarterback's there, the Vikings should take that quarterback. So you're not moving back to where Washington is. Where's Washington? Pick 19? I don't think that makes a whole lot of sense. Would the Raiders move up for Micah Parsons? Heck, should the Vikings take Micah Parsons if he's sitting there? Use him as a pass rusher and then he replaces Anthony Barr in a year? I don't think they will. But would somebody move up for Parsons? I don't know. I struggle with that. Like, I'm not saying 0%, but I don't know who's moving up for Parsons. Would somebody move
just
up?
Just got to hope one of those receivers falls, I think, at that point.
Yeah.
And trade back
I think it would have to be Devontae Smith, right? That Waddle's off the board. Chase is off the board. So 2 receivers are off the board. But Devontae Smith is sitting there that somebody would want to come up for Devontae Smith. I think that might be the best case scenario for the Vikings, that somebody wants to come up for Smith. You move back from 14. And at that point, if you end up taking Vera Tucker or Darasaw or Kwity Paye, but you recoup a second-round pick, I think if that plays itself out tomorrow night, I think that would be a win scenario for the Vikings. But I'm just saying, if they have Rashawn Slater as the number 1 offensive lineman on their board, and all they have to do is move up 3 spots, I would be upset if Rick Spielman didn't do that.
That is
fair.
Yeah, that's fair. And I'm excited. I'm excited for tomorrow. Doogie, as always, thank you for joining tonight's show. I hope that Friday you get to be interviewing a quarterback.
I do too. Yeah, Matt. I hope so. Yes. Please. Yes.
But
Yes,
it's
As
not.
long
I
as he's
hope
not
that.
Mac Jones.
Yeah, I'm with you
it's
there.
like- yeah.
You know, I try to put my, any fan bias aside. I'm a reporter, right? Like I root for storylines, not specific teams or players. You know, maybe I have a relationship with a player and root for an individual player, like my bias with Minnesota guys. But team-wise, whether the Vikings go 10-7, 7-10 this year, like just give me stuff to talk about and
Yeah.
broadcast about TV-wise and write about. Like that's what I hope for. So I suppose Mac Jones would supply that. But like if you're rooting for the well-being of the Vikings for the next few years, I don't see how taking Mac Jones is the pathway to success over the next few years. Like, and even if you were thinking that's one heck of a trade chip in a year, or hey, we'll keep him and then try to do something with Kirk, I still don't like that. Like,
No.
I would not take Mac Jones. That's just me. And I get it. The deep ball accuracy is phenomenal. Like, yeah, he had all those great skill players around him, but look at the ball placement. Like, it's not like Waddle and Smith, had to go chase balls down. Like he hit them in stride. Like there's an accuracy factor there. So I get it why the Niners might be in love with Mac Jones and maybe he goes number 3. But me personally, like if I'm taking a quarterback in the way the NFL is played today, while I have Kirk in the building, I want somebody that can do some stuff with his feet. And that's not Mac Jones. I would not take Mac Jones, but I would take Fields. I'm all about Justin Fields if he's sitting there.
Awesome. Let's hope so. Thanks again,
Yeah,
Doogie.
but if I had to bet, like, I don't know where you guys stand. Like, if I had to bet, I will be surprised if at 11 o'clock tomorrow night, we're talking about Justin Fields, Minnesota Vikings quarterback. I hope to be proven wrong on that.
If they're willing to trade up, for a tackle, in my opinion, they should be willing to do it for a quarterback. But to your point, I just don't see it happening.
It's hard to see, right?
It is.
That Rick and Mike do know that pressure exists immensely. It exists every year, but it's definitely ramped up this year. If you look at the Vikings schedule this year, you think about all the good pass rushers that are on that schedule from, Lawrence in Dallas to Garrett in Cleveland to
and they've done
Mac
nothing.
Twice.
And they've done nothing at the O-line.
So, I mean, doesn't it scream that? But then you think about Danielle Hunter coming off a pretty serious surgery, and he does want to raise at some point, right? And he hasn't been in the building as far as I know, so they don't really physically know where he's at. They can see the pictures on social media, but they haven't seen him up close and personal. So there could be some risk factor there, just assuming that Danielle Hunter is going to be okay. So you already chased these free agent, pass rushers, and that Zim wants a pass rusher before he wants an offensive lineman. That Zimmer feels like, they like Udo and they've got Rashad Hill locked up, and Cleveland could kick out if need be. Heck, Brian O'Neill could kick out the left tackle if need be and play Rashad Hill at right tackle. Like Zim might be looking at it like that, saying, we have some options in house. We just gave up a draft pick for Mason Cole. Like he can start for us. So Zim might be feeling like that and saying, hey, I need some insurance. Like we didn't get to the quarterback last year, and I don't know for sure where Danielle Hunter is. So even though I feel like I'm going to have Danielle this year, we need another rock solid pass rusher. That can't be Stephen Weatherly. Like if Weatherly's our number 3 pass rusher, fine. And DJ Wanham is our number 4, or maybe Wanham's 3, Weatherly's 4, fine. But like I could see Zimmer, standing up on his chair in that draft room saying, like, give me a pass rusher. Like my defense, it struggled mightily last year because we couldn't get to the quarterback, right? So like we need to get to the quarterback this year. So like give me that pass rusher. But I'm just telling you, when I look at the schedule and see all the great pass rushers, they will face Bosa with the Chargers. I'm telling you, look at the Viking schedule. We know the 17 games. We just don't have the dates of the games. We'll find that out here in a couple weeks. But we know the 17 games. If you look at all those teams and all the pass rushers they'll see, the Vikings need some serious offensive line help. So I would think that they go offensive line before defensive line. But I think those are the first 2 picks. So if it goes D-line and O-line, I won't be surprised. But if I had to bet, if you're asking me, I think it's an O-lineman tomorrow night, then a D-lineman early on Friday, with them moving up. So I don't think they stay at 78. If they haven't already recouped a second or an early third, they find a way then on Friday to move up from 78 for some pass rusher.
They'll be moving for sure. That's what Rick loves to do.
Oh, yeah. No, I'd put the over-under at 2.5 trades this weekend. Like to me, it's a lock. It'll be at least 2. And could it be 3? Sure. So, set the over-under at 2.5 and, debate that one. And maybe 2.5 is light. Maybe it should be 3.5. The 3 is going to happen. But I think it's 2 for sure. So I'd set the over-under at 2.5.
I would take it. I'd take the over. if there was gambling in Minnesota, I would take the over.
Well, tell me what the money line is. If I can get a good money line on the under, like if the under is plus 180, plus 190, I might just take the 2, that it'll be 2, not 3 trades.
Fair enough. Well, thank you again, Doogie. For everyone listening, stick around. We will be doing a mock draft. Yeah, that'll probably be the end of the show until tomorrow night. So thanks again, Doogie. We'll be sure to catch up soon.
Absolutely. Enjoy the week, guys. Yep, absolutely. Thanks for having me, boys. See ya.
Hey, everybody. You can see me in the background. I'll pop in around. We're about to go to the draft segment, mock draft segment of this show. But before we go there, I want to show you friend of the show who can't wait to see us tomorrow night, Mr. DJ Ski.
Vikings fans, you guys better be rocking with us, climbing the pocket all draft weekend long. Now, I'm so excited because I'm feeling really good. I think there's going to be a lot of action this draft for my Vikings. And here's what I'm holding. Check this out. Game worn, one of my prized possessions. I'm hoping we can get another 84 in this draft. What you guys think? Let me know. I'm so excited. Skol Vikings. I'm so excited to see you guys back in the stadium this year. Big shout out again to Climbing the Pocket. I'm DJ Ski and Skol.
We're just getting some camera stuff set up here, and then we'll dive into a 1-round mock between the 4 of us to kind of end the show out here. So stick with us.
Hey! We're back. How about that? Boy, did I screw that transition up. But that happens. Practice for tomorrow night.
Yeah, it's practice for all weekend. You have guests coming in and out.
Yes, we do.
And just to address some of the listeners here, Brandon Crockett, yes, we do need a wide receiver 3. We completely agree with you, especially us 4 here on this show. We're real big on getting that wide receiver 3. I'm good with D.D. Westbrook, though. I like that name drop that Doogie said. I don't think there was anything behind that outside of the McCardell, connection there. Vikings.
I think he's the kind of guy that you'd go after the draft, just because you want to. If you can't, I think they'll draft somebody, but then you want to add another piece for depth for, he's recovering from an ACL too, so you have a little bit better of a book on his medicals by June or what have you. That'll help too.
And, he's got that kick return, punt return ability. I think he ran 1 back in the league so far in his career. Highly touted. He was almost a Heisman winner. I think he only lost to his quarterback, Baker. So, definitely some skill there. Vikings Jerome, he had mentioned Phillips and his medicals, and we, how we might be scared off by that. But I think he's still firmly on our radar. Again, I have no inside information, but just more or less, I think that skill set is definitely something that we're looking for. And I think personally, he's the, edge 1 in this class. So.
All right, let's dive in here. A 1-round mock draft. we only have 15 minutes left, so let's limit trades. But if it's an obvious trade up situation, we'll go for it, and we'll just go in order here. So it'll go. I'll start, and then Myles, Ryan, Dave, and we'll just fly through it.
I get to pick for the Jets.
He'll pick every fourth pick, so you'll be, or every second. Well, you know what I'm talking about.
I understand.
Matt,
So are we doing?
You get it.
Are we doing what we would do or what we think will happen?
I want you to play GM for each team that you have.
All right.
Fair enough?
Fine. Absolutely.
Why do you want it the other way?
Well, it gives me more of a buffer. Otherwise, because if I was picking, I mean, yeah.
You do you,
I
man.
got you. I got you.
All right,
I guess I kind of waste my first pick, but it's the consensus here. Trevor Lawrence from Clemson going to the Jags. So Myles, you are on the clock here.
I mean, in an ideal world, I'd pick Justin Fields here, and I'll just go with Justin Fields. I think if the Jets I think Justin Fields is closer to QB1 than he is like QB4 or 5 that he's been projected for me. So I think that's an easy choice.
Justin Fields.
You're taking Justin Fields?
Yep.
All right.
Man, I wish I was doing a mock draft competition with you instead of Crockett because I'd probably take your money. Crockett's owned my ass for the last, I don't know. I think I won 1 out of the last 5 years. So
take my money for what? Wait, take my money for what?
Justin, it's going to be Wilson, but that's fine. It should be Fields.
No, Ryan. I said I'm going to do what I think they should do. If this was just a regular mock, deciding what I think.
Did I mess this up? I messed this up. All right. Well, it's going to be Zach Wilson if he's there at 3. So go ahead and take him.
You got Zach Wilson at 3.
Yes, sir.
Dave, what's Atlanta doing?
What up, Chuck?
Atlanta is going Kyle Pitts. They're resigned to that.
I think it's Jamar Chase here for the Bengals. I think they pass up an offensive lineman. They want weapons around Joe Burrow.
Yep. Jamar Chase it is.
Ryan's just freaking out here.
Dolphins, I think with the trade of Eric Flowers, man, they either go Waddle or Sewell here. That's a tough one. I think they'll go Waddle because I think with their second pick they could go after someone like an Elijah Vera Tucker, Tevin Jenkins, someone else that they could target with that. I think they have the 18th overall pick.
I like the Waddle pick because they got Matt Waddle and Tua together.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Ryan,
you're up for Detroit.
Man, you took my pick. I don't know who's their right tackle.
Tyrell Crosby. Tyrell Crosby.
I mean, I was excited about trying to draft him in the whatever round he went for the Vikings.
5th round. I think he went the 5th.
I can't imagine they'd pass on him. I don't think that. Shoot. Yeah, you can't pass on Sewell here. We'll go ahead and take Sewell. I mean, he's in a franchise. I mean, he's one of the best left tackle prospects in the last few years. So.
And to be honest with you, that spot at 7, if Sewell's still there, I could see that if the Vikings couldn't get something done, the Chargers at 13 maybe trading out.
Chargers for sure, yep.
Yeah.
And the Panthers select Trey Lance.
Wow.
Easy choice. Easy choice.
Mm-hmm. They need a quarterback. I mean, they can play their Sam Darnold stuff, but they want a quarterback.
I think in this scenario, the Broncos would probably trade back. But after the news today of them taking Teddy Bridgewater and Mac Jones is still sitting there, I think I'm going to pick Mac Jones for the Broncos to just sit behind Bridgewater and just learn. Because I don't think he's ready yet, but with the right coaching, I think if he could sit, he could be good.
There we go.
So they're going to have 3 mediocre-ass quarterbacks on that roster between Jones, Teddy, and I love Teddy. I don't mean to call him mediocre. He's a godsend, but we at this point he's not his old Teddy. So,
Yep.
And with Drew Lock there too. I mean, but hey, it leaves an easy pick for me. I think we're going to go Surtain here and help shore up that DB room.
You just took my pick. It's my turn.
Oh, my bad.
Oh,
Damn.
I hope you took Surtain for.
Well, it was going to be that pick anyway, Miles. Don't even act like
How do you know?
You can pick this next one.
How do you know?
Because I do.
I think the Giants are in a weird spot. They got Kenny Galladay in free agency, so they're a team that before the Kenny Galladay signing, they even signed John Ross. Not like he's stopping them from drafting somebody, but with Sterling Shepard and Darius Slayton and the tight ends they have with Rudolph and Ingram, I have a hard time seeing that team go wide receiver early. So I think cornerback, if they were to shore up, I think they signed Dory Jackson. I think if they were to go J.C. Horn here, I think that'd be a home run pick for them to shore up. That defense is already really good. They could get even better with a J.C. Horn.
J.C. Horn it is, and Mike Zimmer cries.
Yep.
David,
All right, Dave,
you're up. Pick 12.
Oh, I get the dreaded birds from Philly.
Trade up.
Nah.
This would be it. I think to Doogie's point, if Slater was still there at 11, 12, the Vikings are calling and getting aggressive to move up.
I agree.
They shouldn't.
But
I think if they were to give up like a fourth to move up to go get him, I'd have no issue with
why? Is Slater and Darrisaw that much of a? I don't get it.
Well,
I don't get it.
It's up to each team. Like each individual team has their own board and where they view guys, and I think I would not be surprised at all if the Vikings had Rashawn Slater like far and away as either their OT2 or 1.
Yeah, but I think Philly wants a wide receiver.
Yeah, they probably do.
And so they just went Devontae Smith.
So here we are. Worst case scenario for the Vikings.
There's 2 tackles on the board for the Chargers.
Well, what if the Chargers need a corner too, or what if they need an edge rusher? They I don't know.
They do need
the Chargers
an edge.
The Chargers and the Chargers and Vikings have similar needs. I mean, I think I swap edge with the Chargers with cornerback for them, but either way, I think you could see them going either way, in my opinion.
Yep, and to your point, I think that they don't look far in their state to see the San Francisco 49ers just a couple years ago from that super good defensive line, and they take Jalen Phillips here to match up with Joey Bosa.
Vikings are on the clock. Miles?
Solidify that D line.
Or should we let the people watching select?
Sure, let's do that.
If they can chime in quick enough.
I mean, it's pretty. I think it's pretty obvious at this point. But yeah, if the people watching want to chime in, we got Rashawn Slater, Micah Parsons.
I have a question, Miles. Is it obvious to you, or is it obvious to what the Vikings want? Because again, you took Justin Fields at 2 when it's likely going to be Wilson based on all accounts that we've heard. Would you take Slater over Darrisaw?
Yes.
Okay.
I would. I think for what he does in this offense, I think with what this offense wants out of their offensive tackles, offensive linemen in general, and with that position flexibility, I think the Vikings would run this pick in. I think in a heart. I think they already have the card written down. They wouldn't take any calls
like they were last year.
Yeah. I don't think they'd take any calls. I think they'd say we're going.
All right, who's that dude? Says Slater.
Who's that dude? From New Orleans. Slater it is.
Got 2 Slaters.
That Daddy Pills. It's Slater.
Yeah.
What up, Chuck? That's Chuck.
I love
All right,
that,
Miles, since you had your spot taken, go ahead on this one.
Where are we at? The Patriots? Oh, man. Patriots are so weird because I think if they don't go get quarterback, if they don't,
That would have been your Mac Jones one.
Mhm.
yeah, I mean we could still see them trade for. Let's see.
Jimmy G.
I think maybe I think they might be the surprise Quiddy Pay team here. I have no idea if they have any ties to Quiddy Pay, but I think he could fit. I just think they like to add
Good
pass
defense.
rusher. I have no idea. I'm just gonna go Quiddy Pay here. I think Quiddy Pay could be a good spot for him.
We're getting weird here.
Yes.
Yeah. I have no idea what they would do in this
Cardinals.
situation.
Cardinals.
Chicago,
God, I want to
St.
just give them a
Louis,
great receiver
Arizona.
because we need Kyler Murray to look as best as he can. But no, you know what? No, we're going to go Rashad Bateman.
Rashad Bateman. Where is he? Here he is. Minnesota Gopher goes in the first round in, 100 years?
Damn.
All right,
You
next
could-
on the list is the Raiders. They need some interior defensive line. There happens to be one on the board. They go Barmore.
And I think if falls perfect for the Dolphins, they snag the receiver, and then they can take Elijah Vera Tucker at 18 here. I think that's a no-brainer.
And people grumble everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
They're improving. And they've got a
Yeah.
plan.
Yeah, Brian Flores is a good head coach. Miles, Washington.
Yeah, another team that we could have tried to have them trade up for a quarterback. I think they would go.
Hold on one
Where
second.
is he?
Did Parsons get taken?
I was just gonna.
No,
That was the
he's
name I
still
was gonna.
there.
Oh, okay,
That's the name.
there he is.
That's the name I think they would go with if he was there. If they can't get a quarterback, I think Washington would snag Micah Parsons here.
Does anybody believe Trask is going to move into the first round?
No,
He's
we
like
do this every year.
QB
Every year
13.
you hear a quarterback being a late first,
Round
and then they go in like the third or fourth or fifth round, and you're like, oh, so that was just
I'm just
bullshit.
saying that
Okay.
fifth-year option is a wonderful thing for teams at the back end.
What the heck team?
I'm with you, Matt. If you're going to draft a quarterback, go in the first round. Like if you're going to be aggressive and
Yeah. So you can get
Yeah,
that
but
50.
go take a competent one like Davis Mills
no.
or even Kellen
I
Mond.
agree.
Trask is
I
like
agree.
noodle arm garbage. Sorry.
Not that you have an opinion, Ryan.
Not that I have an opinion.
You're up.
Bears.
The
Bears
Bears.
is easy. Well, they need an offensive tackle, so Darisaw is an easy choice here for me. My offensive tackle too.
And the Colts are pissed that you took Darisaw, but they'll go ahead. Oy. They're going to
Kevin,
take
I think
Greg
they'd go-
Newsom. Corner.
I like Newsom. He's good.
Yeah. I honestly have no idea what the Titans would do here.
Wide receiver.
They
Would they
lost a
take-
cornerback. They lost a receiver. So I mean, I think either one would be. And
Would they-
wait, did they lose a tackle? I can't remember.
Yeah, they need a tackle.
Yeah, they need tackle, wide receiver, corner.
Does Leatherwood fit there?
I think Tevin
like,
Jenkins
Leatherwood
would be the guy.
would. He, more of
Yeah.
a power gap guy. Same with Jenkins. I think Jenkins is a better tackle than Leatherwood is, but Farley would make sense here. I think.
I think so.
I
think
meant to
Tevin
ask Doogie
Jenkins-
about Tevin Jenkins. If like the plan is to move O'Neal to left tackle, Tevin Jenkins would be an easy plug and play at right tackle.
And
For sure.
from what I've heard, read, etc., Jenkins is on their radar. Vikings radar.
Oh, really? Oh, good.
Yeah, well, he's going to the Titans here, so
Well, Jenkins going to the Titans. Boom.
yeah.
The Jets.
Would be a good pick for them. The Jets are back. What do they?
They
need?
got
They
their
probably need-
quarterback. Wrong one, but they got their quarterback.
I mean,
The
they
right
might
one,
be. This
according
could
to
be. This this could be a Caleb Farley if he doesn't fall out of the first round. I think corner could be a spot the Jets look at here. Let's go Farley. I don't know the medical situation with him. I know it wouldn't surprise me if he falls out of the first, but I know that team could use a cornerback.
Well, he's uber talented. The issue is his back.
Right.
Absolutely. I've heard JR link this name, and I want to just call an Oklahoma player because I have to. But JR's linked this name a couple times in our discussions, either in his own podcasts or discussions with the Draft Network, as well as on. We had him on last week. So he had mentioned Creed Humphrey as a potential option for the Steelers to replace Pouncey. So I'm going to go ahead and say Creed Humphrey. He's just a tad under Landon Dickerson here.
Wow.
A little bit further down.
There he is.
Right there.
A little bit.
That's not bad. However,
Draft Network's low on him for whatever reason.
Is the one that
Except
people
for,
think they'll take the first running back.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they easily could.
Right now, we got the Jaguars up again. They need offensive line help. Let's go with Alex Leatherwood.
Oof.
Yeah, protect that new franchise.
Yep.
What spots do they need?
Do the Browns go?
They need a
Moore
defensive tackle.
I know they do, but that's
They
a
need
reach.
Edge. They need
D tackle and corner.
I would
Wide
so
receiver.
here's my thing is they're tough to predict because they could use a receiver. I mean, if Odell comes back healthy, they're actually pretty decent at receiver. I think they have 4 solid receivers. But if they want to trade Odell, a receiver would be interesting here. The
They're not
one
trading
name that
Odell.
I don't think's
No.
getting enough love, and I can't say his last name. I'm not gonna even try. But that defensive tackle Levi O from Washington, I think he's a little under the radar. I don't know. It's an interesting name I would look at here, just because they did lose Richardson. So
Yeah, let's go with him. I think he's down in like the 40s. There he is, Levi from Washington.
Ozworki or something like that.
Yep. I know JR had plugged this name early in our pod back in like February for the Vikings potentially.
Well, he's not the only one.
Yeah.
Tyler likes him too.
oh yeah.
Myles, you get the Ravens.
Oh, this is easy. I'd go Elijah Moore here. I think he should go earlier than this
Over
anyways.
Terrence Marshall.
No, my bad. No. Is Bateman still there?
No,
No,
Bateman.
Nah, I took him.
Oh, okay. Then I'd go Moore.
More it is. The Saints.
To be fair,
I would
Miles,
take-
I like
I'd take
Elijah
him over
Moore
Marshall.
better than Terrence Marshall. I just feel like Terrence Marshall's a better fit there. But I like Elijah Moore better. He's a better receiver.
I
They
think
just don't have
what
a
I
big
like.
guy.
I know, but he's still a separator. I think separation
Yeah.
in general is more important
100%.
no matter what your size is.
100%. Saints. Oh, geez.
They could use everything. They're weird. The Saints are going to be such
you
a
know
weird
what?
team this year.
For sure. You know what? Just let's go Terrence Marshall, actually. They need a receiver. They lost Sanders. They don't really have a receiver. I think that'd be an interesting play.
I could see them going Tony too. That would be a late first, then going after Tony, getting
He's
that
up there.
gadget
He's
guy.
up there.
Where's
He's just 2-3 spots under Tony here. If you scroll down just a little bit, right under Cosme.
there we go, 40.
Yeah, I agree, Miles. They probably would like Tony, but I'm just not picking Tony to spite Tyler.
All right. The Packers. Anybody but a wide receiver.
I think they would trade back in this scenario if they could.
If they didn't, if any of those wide receivers that they're looking for, Marshall, Bateman,
Tony's
they
still
couldn't
there.
have them.
though.
I think
They might like him.
yeah. I mean,
They-
if they liked him, yeah.
They could pull the trigger on Tony or Cosme, actually, or the Notre Dame tackle.
Eichenberg.
Talk to me, Goose.
That's actually, I think it's your pick, Dave.
Is it my pick?
Yeah, it's yours. You get to.
Well, then I need to
pick the
scroll down a
rivals.
lot more.
maybe they take Rondell Moore in this situation.
Yeah, that's a curious one too. I'd be curious to see what the NFL where they view Rondell Moore.
Purdue wide receiver. I still
Maybe.
can't see him taking a wide receiver.
I think they'd go offensive tackle before they go wide receiver with
I do
this
too.
board.
And you got Cosme, Eichenberg, and Radens.
Can't do that
Radens
to Doogie,
would-
Dave.
Huh?
Radens wouldn't be bad there.
I'm
But
going Radens.
I think eventually they'd actually probably go Eichenberg, but damn, the Bills. I think we see our first running back come off the board. I think they take Harris.
Boom.
So gross.
I don't think they
is.
trust their running backs.
I
No,
think
they
they'd go
don't.
ETN. I think they'd go ETN.
You're
So-
right.
That's my guy. But I have him as RB1, so that's just me.
Miles, you get to pick for the
Ravens
Ravens again.
Yes, let's go. Would they like? You tell me here, Ryan. You know better. Joe Tryon or Aziz? No, how do you say his last? Aziz Ojolari. Which one would be
See,
a better
I have
fit for the
Ojolari
Ravens? 'Cause I could
higher.
see-
They're both
good.
fit the profile that they would look for at their like more of like an outside linebacker and a 3-4.
Yeah.
I think Ojolari is more talented, honestly.
Go there. I'd
So
go there because I think
Okay, Ojolari it is.
there. I
And
think
the
that'd
Super
be-
Bowl champions, Ryan.
that'd be a home run for the Ravens.
For sure.
Do it,
Well, they
Ryan.
just
Do
signed.
it.
They just signed Antonio Brown today, so I can't imagine they go there. My guess is they probably just get some assurance at offensive line. Gosh, should I just be
Yeah,
a douche and pick another Oklahoma guy? No.
Tampa's weird. Tampa's really weird because they literally brought back everybody,
So it's just
and
it's just like
not that they don't have
support.
holes, but
Quarterback.
maybe they go.
There's
Maybe
no
they
quarterback
even
you
go
take.
Maybe they go D line. I mean, they add
Yeah,
another
I'm
pass
thinking
rusher.
edge.
Outside-
they have the two
outside
top
linebacker.
guys. Yeah. I think I'm going to go with – let's go outside name here. He's going to be a little further down. Let's go with a surprise first-round pick, Peyton Turner.
There he is, out of Houston. Boom. And that's the first round, folks.
And that's exactly how it'll go tomorrow night. So
Yeah, right.
no need to tune in to the draft. You can do other things tomorrow night. Just take a look at this. And
No. You got to tune in to watch Climbing the Pocket personalities and guests. And we have a whole slew of special guests lined up for all 3 days to talk the NFL draft from a Vikings perspective.
yeah, it's going to be a blast. So for everyone watching here tonight, make sure you tune in all weekend long as we have insight from not only people from Climbing the Pocket, but also other Vikings media personalities. It's going to be a blast, and you will not want to miss out. Ryan, Myles, thank you so much for joining tonight. Doogie, if you're somehow still watching or coming back to listen, really appreciate you hopping on again. And Dave, I feel like we owe you the biggest thanks of all. This was supposed to be your night off before your three night header, but
Hey,
we'll start back tomorrow.
alcohol and coffee makes the world go round, and it will continue to do it for the next 3 days. Hey, 3 full days. Climb the Pocket. We go live 30 minutes prior. That means 6:30 tomorrow night. We will be live and online on this YouTube channel. Subscribe, get notifications. We will be here. We will be talking with the fans. So we want you to join us and tell us what you think. You're going to be part of this show as well. And we intend to have a blast. With that, everybody have a great evening. Stay safe. And we'll see you tomorrow night. Skol Vikings!
Skol.
Thank you for watching or listening. As always, if you like, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications. And if you're listening to the podcast, please rate us on your favorite aggregator. Skol, everybody.